Welcome, everybody. Today, I have a guest whose story reads like a compelling paradox. Our guest is a man who built a career around the idea he would later abandon, a world-class endurance athlete who's defied conventional wisdom of his sport, and a coach who helps people achieve extraordinary health by embracing a philosophy of simplicity. Sean, I know you have a background kind of similar to me. I started a endurance drink company a few years ago that was a carbohydrate based drink, and over the years have kind of abandoned that. But um, let's kind of jump right in and talk about your journey and how you have found this new fueling strategy, and tell me a little bit about like back in that moment when you decided to make the change and your, how you started you were working for a supplement company and that kind of story, how that all kind of unfolded.
So, so I actually founded a supplement company, which still goes to this day. I think I registered it back in 2006. The initial motivation for that supplement company was really to um, bring nutritional supplements, not energy, nutritional supplements like your minerals and your vitamins to athletes who technically don't really eat the right nutrients, and or they don't get enough of the right nutrients. That was the main goal. And then later on, I got involved with more people along the way, and their focus was more along the energy and the carbohydrate um, supplements. So I decided to, I mean, what in my own sort of makeup, I was slowly but surely weaning myself off of carbohydrate. Not really because I felt that there was a health issue or there was a health issue with regards to the wheat. I've always been wheat intolerant. I've battled with my bowel since since I stopped eating wheat, which was back in 2000 and I think 2009. So when I couldn't eat carbohydrate in the form of wheat, like your pizzas, your pastas, anything that contained wheat, I slowly but surely had a kind of a predisposition to veer away most common carbohydrate. So I was slowly but surely also then veering off my own supplements, if one could say. And then I lost my belief for carbohydrate. And over that period, my father had well, not over that period, but it was discovered that he developed a esophageal cancer, which is a very important point to this operation, or sorry, this protocol, not operation, this protocol.
Mhm.
And from that, I had an epiphany. It really was an epiphany because I grew up um, in a pharmacy as a youngster. My late father was a chemist, uh, coming from a traditional Jewish household. My father gave my last bit of pocket money when I was 13, and he said, "You're now a man. You have a shift from 1 till 6." It was his pharmacy was open until 10 o'clock at night, and you will now work for your money. So from the age of 13, I started working for money. So I grew up in a chemist, and I grew up with in an environment where you got an ailment. Here's some chemicals for it. Here's some medicine for it, and it just literally dawned on me that all we're doing is just feeding this conveyor belt when it comes to you got cancer, go to the doctor, get it cut out, go for radio chemotherapy. What is cancer? Cancer is hereditary. You hear all of this information, and I just realized yeah, it could be hereditary. It could be from stress, but it's actually being fueled by what we're eating because both sides of my family have suffered from cardiovascular disease or cancer. That's what they've died from. I mean, I watched my grandfather die in front of me. He had a heart attack literally died in front of me. And I've gone to many, many funerals, and the cause of death was cancer. So I realized it was, I grew up in that typical household: macaroni and cheese, bread on Friday night, matzah on Pesach, sweets. In my lunchbox, there was a chocolate. I used to trade that for some fruit. I really did trade the chocolate for some fruit, which I'm still not really I'm not a fruit eater at all. But I think I had this natural predisposition to venture away from what was seen as like really nice food to eat, great tasting food to eat. And that was the motivation was, I don't want to waste away like my father. I don't want to just be another um, statistic, another cancer statistic. And that's how I stopped eating carbohydrate, and I became ketogenic. Was in the turn of 2012 to 2013 was bye high carbohydrate. To jump straight into how I developed the performance aspect of it, and when I talk about the performance aspect of it, I talk more about the fact that I'm no longer dependent, because as a youngster, when I used to cycle when I was about 16, I used to suffer terribly from hypoglycemia. And I recall a situation where I I went off the road. Not I didn't cycle off the road. I purposely went off the road to find a place where I could hide in the long grass, and I lay flat with my bicycle, because I'm not a big guy. I'm not tall in stature, but I was really short as a kid. And when I used to cycle, it was a bit unnerving to be in an area where in those days there were no cell phones. There wasn't really anything. And I remember pulling out the long grass and actually sucking the roots of the long grass to try and get some sort of energy. And 45 minutes later, I kind of started to feel okay, and I slowly but surely limped home. I recall also in my brain, my memory, that I could smell my mother's macaroni and cheese from 20 kilometers away from home. That's how badly I used to bonk. And so my performance, when I talk about performance, it was essentially being liberated from this constant need to refuel yourself, and constantly having to throw down, to be a little bit sort of polarizing, maybe a little bit derogatory, to become a human blending machine when it comes to all of this. I mean, however they're doing it 20 minutes, they're drinking this, eating this every 40 minutes, then they're having this, and after an hour, it becomes like, what on earth is going on? Are you now a robot having to sort of, you got your little alarm on your GPS? Okay, so that's where my initial performance basis, or my initial performance uh, marker was established. Um, and how that came along is I was never an endurance athlete. I was a time trialist. I used to race a maximum of 40 kilometers, which is what's that, about 28, 30 miles maybe. No, it's less than that. It's
26.
about 25 miles.
Yeah.
And I used to make a joke. At kilometer 41, my wheels would come off. And I was happy to go out and back. We've got uh, this common route I used to do for my back in the day. It was like a 43-kilometer ride, and I was happy. In 2018, as a joke, somebody challenged me to ride the most in 1 week, and I've just come back from a sportiva in France, which was 178 kilometers over 5,000 meters of climbing, and I fell in love with a little bit of long cycling. I mean, over there, I got my first taste of how crazy it is, how people have to eat, and they scurry towards the sugars on the stops on the roadside. And so that was an eye opener for me. And then after the challenge, from this person that challenged me to ride the most, and of course I took it to heart, and I started riding 3 hours, a little bit longer than 3 hours, and it came in 100 kilometers a day. Then it was 5 days a week, so I was doing 500 kilometers a week, and of course I wasn't eating anything, and it only sort of came to my attention when I started watching your typical cycling programs, like your bike radars and Velo, whatever these programs are. Everybody knows GCM, and
Mhm.
they all talk about how you need to fuel for your rides, how you need to eat. This is what you need to eat, and I found it really amusing because literally there was just water in those days. I hadn't discovered the salt advantage. There was just literally water in my bottles, and I just kept on saying to myself, "This is crazy. I'm not exactly a slow cyclist. Um, no one passes me when I ride. In fact, I do the passing. This is back in like 2018, and 2019 came along, and the Jordanian Tourism Board invited me over to come and do one of their sportivas, which is inverted commas a race. You ride 100 and it was just say 200 kilometers from the Dead Sea, and you climb out of the Dead Sea, which is the lowest point on Earth, and you ride to the Red Sea. It's an incredible ride, and I did. I don't ride with anyone, so I didn't have a marker to see how well I do, or And anyway, so as a sort of a gesture of goodwill to the organizers, I decided to go and ride really hard in the front for as long as I could, which I did. And I think I rode almost my threshold power, which I think then was about 315 watts for, I think it was almost 90 minutes. And, um, and I said to the photographer who came with me for the press thing, I said, "Look, I'm not going to go and win this race. I don't know if I could even win this race. I just don't want to have to eat anything on this. That's my goal."
Mhm.
And I rode the ride without eating anything. I literally came to the finish line. I got fifth overall. I crashed actually. I was catching the four guys because I ended up waiting for the other ambassadors who were from Italy and Germany, and from being 15 minutes behind me, they ended up being an hour and a half behind me. So then I picked up the speed and I kicked on, and I was catching those four guys up. But what had happened is my disc brakes completely lost pressure, and I at a high speed I just nothing happened. I just rode into a corner and actually cracked my frame on that accident. But anyway, so I was really pleased with my performance. I finished the ride. I was obviously euphoric of the incredible ride, and obviously there's feelings of just doing some good exercise. 2 hours later, I went back to my hotel. I had a handful of it was they call them it was just almonds and macadamians and very nice nuts. They're just like really good nuts. Packed my bike, and then I went for dinner. So I just ridden 200 kilometers, full gas, and 2 hours later, I had my first something to eat. So I thought to myself, well, how far can this go? Really, how far can this go? I felt like I've just discovered something new. And then we got the scamdemic, and we were all locked down. And a company in Cape Town asked me to do something for thanking the first responders. So I went and did a ride on rollers. This is back in 2020, and I rode in front of people in a closed office, with glass doors, and people, like 12 people, came over that period to witness this. And I was riding on rollers, not a fixed on things you warm up on the track. And I rode for 10 hours without salt and no caffeine either. The coffee machine had broken. So that ended up being like 350 Ks with witnesses. So if people needed some sort of, it's not possible. Oh, I also did that ride twice for 9 hours. I did two 9 hour rides in my kitchenette just to make sure I could do it. So
Before that one.
yeah, before that one, and I was already riding 6 hours on that. It was the scandemic lockdown, so I literally rode on rollers I rode 4,000 kilometers on rollers over that period. I know people hated it. I kind of enjoyed it. Bit of a loner. So where I am today was the whole concept. And I say it's a concept because it may work for some, but it doesn't work for everyone. And you have to consider, and I'm sure, Matt, you have experienced it yourself with your PBs. Um, it's not science if you base it on human science. It's not science if it's not conclusive, and it deserves more discovery and more exploration. So in 2022, I decided at the tender age of 49 to go and see how hard and how fast I can ride. And during the first half of 2022, I was doing Pro Tour average watts. Okay, I'm not a Pro Tour weight guy. I was accused by a very well-known vegan YouTuber. His name is the Durian Rider. He told everyone he did two debunk videos, as he calls it,
I
and he
saw that
called
last night, actually. I was
yeah.
doing a little research.
Okay, so he says absolute bullshit. It's impossible that I could ride. So, and he's pushing it. He's pushing it. So fast on without being ketogenic. I wasn't just ketogenic. I wasn't even consuming exogenous calories. There was nothing but the calories I started with when I left my apartment to the time I came home. And I don't know how I did it. And honestly, I don't know if it's finally age that's caught up with me, but I did multiple 6 hour rides during the first quarter of 2022. And I was averaging over 240 watts, culminating with a peak of 251 watts. Stages generation three, obsessive compulsive. So I calibrate every rider guide. I calibrate, and I did a 251 watt average with a normalized power of 286 watts for 6.5 hours yeah. And I was 40. I'm 49 years old, and I did it on salt and water.
Yeah.
Um,
Hopefully
yeah.
the gym.
Yeah. Let me kind of jump in real quick because you're you're hitting all of my questions without me talking, but um I want to kind of pass it over to Matt for a minute, put Matt on the spot a little bit. But a couple of years ago you were plant-based. And I kind of want to shift the conversation a little bit to protein and some of the benefits we've seen at Rollfast coaching with that. Matt, I don't if you don't, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but would you share a little bit about your story
Yeah.
and where you were, where you are now? You're obviously uh, look like a bodybuilder now, but how has that change really just with protein changed your performance on the bike, your lifestyle, how you feel, like all of those kind of
Yeah.
touch
So,
points.
so it is the protein, but there is more to it. It's what you do with the protein, but it is definitely the protein. So, yeah, I was vegan for 7 years, and I was thin. I was a runner. I was running at the time, but I found that I plateaued, didn't get any faster, couldn't get any faster, couldn't up the protein really anymore than I was with that vegan diet. It was limiting, because you just the volume of food was so much that it didn't really work. So I gave that up. Um, started consuming more protein, getting, 225 to 250 grams of protein a day. But then also started hitting the gym 2 and then 3 days a week. Um, Went from 5 days on the bike to 4 days on the bike instead of, um, to back the volume down because I'm 49 years old. Um, no, I'm not, I'm 48. I lied. 48 years old. Um, but I found that it allowed me to recover better with that additional days off the bike, still going hard 4 days a week, lifting 4 days a week. I got dramatically stronger, built a lot more muscle, um, leaned out, and over the last year and a half, my power has just gone dramatically higher. And I haven't really sacrificed. I've sacrificed a slight bit of endurance only because I'm not focusing on it so much. I raced Unbound last year, the 200, did that in 12 and a half hours. And then
Wow.
I think I'll go back and do it again this next year, kind of with this new body composition and see how that works out. But yeah, the protein has allowed me to spend so much more time in the gym and get so much more lean mass that then when I'm on the bike, I found that I don't need the exogenous carbohydrates. I can get through my workouts without it, and it's not a problem at all. Kind of like you were saying, Sean, after you're done with your rides, it's not even something I think about anymore. That I need to eat. There are days that I do, but most days I don't even think about it, and I just go eat my regular lunch after my workout. Um, you know, After I take a shower, so it's not a problem. So that's kind of been my story, and it's worked for me. I think it's worked for Matt. We've done it across a similar process across a somewhat similar timeline. Um, but yeah, that's where I am, and I'm a believer.
The one of the things that I think makes Rollfast coaching unique is our focus on our three pillars, and one of those is longevity. And one of the main reasons, Sean, I wanted to have you on the call is I believe everything you're doing is supporting your longevity and taking lessons you maybe learned from your father and his cancer. And maybe some of these things are hereditary, but what are you feeding your body, and is it feeding cancer, or is it feeding wellness and a long healthy life? And one of our goals is to help our athletes go really fast on their bikes, but also go really fast when we have athletes that are in their 70s, will probably be in their 80s while they're still working with us, and we want them to go fast when they're 80 years old. And at 51 years old, that's my goal, is to look good, to feel good, and to go fast and do it as long as I'm alive. And something you said earlier about what the sort of the mainstream outlets push with carbohydrates and the fueling every 20 minutes or whatever you know the the number is for the number of the week is, it changes all the time. It's more and more. It makes me think. I always tell my athletes, like, you're kind of living like a hummingbird. You need that constant drip of sugar to perform, and you can fly around really fast. But when you don't have that constant drip, then you're dead. You can't do these efforts or whatever. And similar to Matt, for me, I've put on muscle and lost fat, and the muscle that I've gained, I think, like Matt kind of said, can really fuel my body for these workouts. I messaged Sean just the other day. I did some VO2 work and hit a couple of PBs with no fuel on the bike. Just I use Element in my bottle, and one bottle of that and one bottle of water, and was hitting VO2 efforts that I haven't hit in 25 years of cycling. So um,
Wow.
yeah, good stuff. So I guess, Sean, my question to you would be is, um, going kind of off the script a little bit, but what's a typical uh, day of meals like for you?
So when I talk for me, I talk for me as one of what's it, 8 billion people on the planet. So
Yeah,
one of
yeah, yeah.
8 billion people. So longevity and health is of course paramount for me. And the reason why I'm probably making I'm trying not to make this as long-winded, but it's probably going to be long-winded, is because I think I'm going to be working until the day I die. I think firstly, I don't want to stop working. I don't want to retire. I want to be kind of useful um, to people. I'm not a philanthropist. I'm kind of a selfish guy. But I don't like. I like to be. I like to be a truth teller. I think that's a good way of putting it. I like to be a truth teller. Um, so the reason why I eat this way is because I believe that, and from my own results, I believe that the way I eat is the best way possible for me as an individual. Now, what do I eat? If I open the fridge right now, you're just going to find ground beef mince. I've been experimenting of late with some ostrich mince, but believe it or not, I can feel the difference between ostrich mince and beef mince. I have eggs. I can probably eat 18 eggs a day. Um, and I have there's some cheddar cheese. It's kind of a snack for me, and there's beef tallow and butter. I'm out of butter at the moment, but that's just what I have in the fridge. And there's also ricotta cheese when I have ricotta cheese. I tend to use as a kind of a recovery meal. It's way cheaper than protein powder, and it's just maybe it's just not hydrolyzed or isolate or concentrate. It's natural ricotta cheese, and it's great. And you mix that with a little bit of honey. I do eat raw honey. Um, and the plant stuff I do eat. I eat garlic. I eat lots of garlic. I can sometimes eat too much. I'm a kidney stone sufferer, so even though it's low in oxalates, I do monitor that. But over sort of high, sort of seasons of spring and autumn, that's when the seasons change. That's when the viruses start jumping. I eat a tremendous amount of garlic. I'm single, so it's
All right.
absolutely fine.
You
But
you
so
have, you have a
that's
dog, right?
I actually don't. It's my instructors.
Oh,
It's my
okay.
my karate instructor's dog. I love it's Harry, and I love Harry. Harry is.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, Harry is not your average bulldog. It's Harry Brandon. It's not your average human being.
But the garlic doesn't bother him.
No, 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 yeah, no, no. He loves me. But I love that dog. So she bites very sore though. Fuck. Um, But so what's in my, that's it. Beef mince. And then I try and eat once a day. And I have a big eating window. So kind of, I'll eat sometimes 800 grams of mince in an evening. I might eat the first 400 grams cooked, and then I eat the last 400 grams raw. And I just mix, yeah. And I eat, obviously it's got to be fresh. And I mix the garlic, and also sometimes I mix honey in there as well. A little bit of honey and the garlic and the salt,
What
loads of salt.
what
Yeah,
what time of day do you eat if you eat once a day usually?
just after 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And this is like really something which I for myself personally, as one of 8 billion people, like to say that I have always battled with bowel issues, like bad bowel movements, like terrible bowel movements. And for the first time in my life, I don't get constipated. I have maybe two bowel movements a week. Sometimes I've done one bowel movement a week. Big. I mean, it's fucking huge. but not messy, not painful. I can't get over the size of that. I can pack so much shit. Sorry. So I've got no filter. And I can go riding. When I used to incorporate like sort of more plant, like vegetables or nuts, something that had fiber, it used to really affect my like constipated a lot. If I have too much garlic, I can get quite gassy. But it's like hardly any mess. It's like incredible. It's like I wish I knew what I now know
Mhm.
growing up. I would have been another human being, another enjoyed life a lot more, not having to like, oh fuck, I need a shit, need to take a shit, or I'm constipated, and or you're sitting on the toilet for like ever and a day. It's absolutely wonderful. And if anyone tells you once, I've heard many podcasts about fiber or you don't need fiber. I'm going to reiterate that it's the biggest crock of crap.
Yeah.
If you shit, you don't need to shit once a day. You don't need to, some people have to shit 3 times a day. You don't need a shit. It means that your body is using all of that.
Right.
It's absorbing everything. It's making the most out of it. Shit is just a waste product. It's just
Yeah.
what your body is not using. So, I mean, literally, I would pack 500, let's just say I'm packing almost 600 grams of mince, and there's eggs in there as well. And I've gone through an entire week. So I'm eating like 600 grams of mince plus eggs, and I go and take one shit in the week. And I can do a proper suction where I can literally my waist is that I can get my hands after 5 days of eating all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So my wife does nutrition consulting for us at Rollfast Coaching, and
Yeah.
all of her clients, she's a carnivore, and a lot of her work goes into getting people off of um, vegetables that cause problems or things like that. And we talk about poop a lot at our house, but one of the things she tells all of her clients is like, don't freak out. Like if you
Yeah.
don't poop like you used to, and it's, it's okay because your body's using all of the nutrients in the meat that you're eating now, and there's less waste. So makes
Well, I've always said this. We aren't supposed to live forever. Um, Things wear out. Our joints get old. We get aches and pains because we use it. That's we can't replace it. It gets old. It gets worn out. And likewise, your digestive system.
mm,
Think about it. If you're having to go and shit all the time, it's your colon's like, here we go again. Here we go again. I've got to open. It causes. Eventually it wears out. We're just not supposed to. It's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah.
So that's. I mean, honestly, I grew up loads of fruits and vegetables in my house. Just by the way, Matt, I was born deaf. Um, my parents were not affluent. My father was a student when my parents got married, and there was no money in the family. And my parents were vegetarian, basically living off cabbage. This is no word of a lie. And I was conceived by a mother and a father who were both vegetarian, and I was born deaf. I was born with a low immune system. And only later did my immune system strengthen when my parents got money to buy meat. And so they weren't vegetarian by choice. They were by circumstance. And I actually I've got blocked ears. I still to this day battle, and that's a big thing. If veganism and vegetarianism works for you, good. It doesn't work for the rest of the world. It doesn't work for everyone.
Mm.
And this we probably press for time, but this is a very important point. We are too conditioned to believe that we are all the same. We are not. What works for one may not work for the other. And the problem is that we aren't taught to think for ourselves and to think critically. We are taught and programmed to obey, and what the teacher says goes. What the doctor says goes. The priest or imam or rabbi says goes.
Right.
Doesn't.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to kind of wrap this up. And I want to, the thing you told me, we had a phone conversation about a year ago, last summer, I think. And I was in the beginnings of, well, I've always been a heavy protein eater, but I was always reliant on a gel or a carb drink or whatever on the bike. And you and I talked, and that was the thing that struck me when I first met you was you are a free thinker and want everybody to kind of figure out their own path. And you told me on that call, like what works for some may not work for others, and that stuck with me. And I think if you're trying to go full Sean Sako route and become a ketogenic cyclist, or I think you look down on this call, we've got kind of various levels of how deep we go with that, between the two Matts and Sean. I don't think there's a right or wrong, and I think you have to figure out what works for you. But if you are um, trying to get to that level, I think the thing that I can speak from experience just in the last year is it takes a lot of time to condition your body, to train your body to use that different fuel source. So
Absolutely.
stick,
Patience is key. If that's one takeaway
yeah,
that anyone can take, is everybody responds differently. There will be scientific studies that will tell you that there was a 4-week adaptation phase, 6-week adaptation phase. Some people get it in 2 days. Some people takes 3
yeah,
months, 6 months. It's patience.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think you're right, and I think it depends where you're coming from. If you've been a sugar eater your whole life and you're 56 years old, and um, it's probably going to take you longer than the guy that's lived on meat and a few vegetables and whatever else. So, um, well, Sean, I want to give you last word on the chat we're having, and anything else you'd want to tell anybody listening, cyclist or nutrition enthusiast or anything like that?
um, it is. I think, just to touch on what I said earlier with regards to thinking critically. I mean, don't even take my word for it. Go and figure it out for yourself. You have to, like I said earlier, you have to apply. You've got to apply some thought to things. You can't just become a robot, which unfortunately society is heading down that road. They want you just to toe the line. I think if anything, that free thinking is so important. Being able to think for yourself. Those thoughts, your thoughts, are yours. No one has a right inside your brain but you. You have to question everything. Sometimes we don't have the time to do it. I live a very unique lifestyle, so I have a lot of I think probably too much, but people need to apply more critical thinking to the daily lives. Don't just even if you are following even if you're following somebody whom you like, respond to, value what they have to say. Sometimes you need to just apply some critical thought. Just because you've loved them for 99% of what they've said or she said, there is a possibility that there's 1% that isn't correct or doesn't really work for you, and you mustn't be afraid to just to actually no, that's not right, that's wrong.
Right.
That's my take. That's my final word. Yeah.
Love it. Sean, thanks for your time. Anybody wants to find Sean, you can go to seansako.com. I think Instagram is Sean_Sako, and he'll keep you entertained online. And the comments are always good. The comments always get me. I'll always send a DM to Sean like, why are you taking this shit from this guy on this comment? He loves the banter. So
Go for it. There's no such, when they stop talking about you, you're doing something wrong.
right. So thank you again for the time. You guys need anything
You're most
from us,
welcome. You're most welcome.
rollfastcoaching.com.
Matt, it's really nice to meet you. And listen, your physique's it's looking good. You've got good vascularity in your shoulders. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate
Whatever
it.
you're doing it well.
I'll keep it up.